Thanks. Hi, Wunmi.
Hey,
Nice to
how are
see
you?
you. I'm good. I'm good. I'm excited to talk to you again. Obviously, different TV show now. So glad we can confirm that you are in Loki. I suppose to get on with it, like, did you did you have the Loki lecture, the famous Loki lecture that Tom
No,
Hiddleston did?
I didn't get that. I think I mean I asked him lots of questions. I definitely asked him a lot of questions. And I asked him a lot about just, the MCU and tell me about people, tell me about everyone. But I didn't get the Loki lecture. No, I
Oh.
no.
So what was your entry point then into, because is it just all brand new to you, or were you aware of kind of like osmosis of storylines?
It was pretty new to me. I had watched Black Panther and had watched from Black Panther, Infinity Wars and Endgame. I became like a fan of Black Panther and then the MCU and was like, I would like to be a part of this. So when I got the call saying I had, got a part in Loki, I hadn't realized I had auditioned for it because it was all top secret. So I didn't know what I was auditioning for when I sent in my tape. And so I was very excited. And then I
What
watched
did you
all
read
of
for your tape then? If you didn't know what the thing is, what were you reading as your
some kind
audition?
of dummy sides. It was kind of set in the TVA, I guess, when I think back to it. But it didn't say like the TVA or anything about Loki or anything like it wasn't the sides are not in the show. They're not in the show. And so when I got offered the part, I watched every film that Loki was in. And that's kind of where I started.
Mm. And Kate says that your character was originally envisioned as a male character, and then
Mm.
they obviously saw your tape. So I suppose for you to be able to, did it feel quite freeing? Were you able to build this character together about who you wanted her to be?
Yeah, I did. We there was a lot of freedom because B-15 doesn't exist in the MCU and the comics. So I really got to start from, zero and build up and figure her out. Yeah, and Kate was great at that because we just like we just figured her out and delved deep and made and asked good questions.
Mm. And I suppose, so my understanding of the TVA is that they've been kind of created for this role. That's their life. So I suppose, how do you build like a backstory for a character whose sole purpose is to go kind of protect? Like, do they go on dates? Like, what's their apartment like? What do they go when they're stopped like getting people?
Yeah, it's that is it. They are the TVA. That's their sole purpose. That's what they were built for, born for, and that's all they know. There is no, this is a separate world to what we know of for the MCU. It's completely different. So yeah, that is their sole focus, their sole, you know, everything is the TVA. There's no
So,
dates.
so okay, that's so interesting. So I suppose I was kind of like, how do you create then like a three-dimensional character where, because obviously we know it's called Loki and we know got like Mobius, but like even for you as an act trying to like find out who this person is, how do I engage with this person, like where is she at, what's her emotional state, like how does her kind of narrative kind of progress, in what ways that you can tell me?
Yeah, I mean, it's quite simple when it's just one thing, when your goal is one thing. Um, so my goal is to protect the sacred timeline. And anytime I come in contact with anyone outside of the TVA, it means that they have disrupted the timeline. So, you can, her personality comes out in how she deals with you know, those disruptors
Mm.
because how easily do they come with her? How much is there a fight? Like what is it all? And they, you know, she's very different from Mobius, and she's different from Renslayer, and she's different from other hunters. So there is definitely personality there, but the goal is still very one track minded for all of them. They just go about things differently, and they have their different strengths and their different weaknesses.
And I mean, Kate also was saying about how Sigourney Weaver has on my to search in Alien similarly was a character with a man in mind, and then they cast Sigourney. And I suppose there's such an interesting conversation about strong female characters at women in action roles. So I suppose what did you kind of want to emphasize, and were there any kind of reference points that you were going from and that you wanted to kind of bring to the characterization?
I really loved her strength, her physical strength. And you know, in my physique, I've always thought, like, you don't have to look a certain way to be a superhero. I'm not saying I'm a superhero, but to be in the superhero realm, you can be, if you're strong, right? However you look like. And I just love that I have my natural hair, I have my, you know, West African physique, and I'm really playing those strengths of my physical body. Because, yeah, I feel like strong looks one way a lot of the time, whether it's male or whether it's like a certain body type. And actually, strong is in so many different shapes and frames. Yeah.
And would you say, like, because I feel like strong is such a literal way of doing it, but there's also like her strength of conviction, her strength in the belief in what she's doing. Is that something also you really want to manifest?
Yeah, because she doesn't pull any punches. She's completely authentically herself. She doesn't try to act small. She doesn't try to make people like her. It's just like she's just wholly herself. And that's something that you don't really see very often with a lot of you know, I do it outside of the house. I code switch, I play small, I do this, I do that to make other people feel at ease. And I love that she doesn't do that. I love that because it's inspirational to me anyway.
And you've got like an ultimate British set, isn't it? Like you, Gugu, and Tom were all at different years at RADA.
Yeah.
So like, yeah. So how was that? And also, is the catering better? Even though you've got British people, like you got better catering.
Oh yeah, catering is always better in America. Always. Catering in England is terrible. I used to think it was amazing, and now I know the truth. Yeah, Tom was my third year when I was first year. And so I've known him since I was 18. I remember all of his shows and really looking up to him and him being really cool because like he would talk to me and I was just a first year, you know. Yeah, it was really nice to have so many Brits on board because especially when there's a global pandemic and you're kind of, you know, you're stuck in Atlanta and you're stuck away from home, and there's creature comforts in that kind of knowing each other and also having a shorthand with each other where we can be a little bit vulnerable with each other and ask for help, and they're not strangers, you know, and feel like you're close to home.
Exactly. So by the way, I say this as someone who's like an MCU nerd, but I feel like there is a slight dismissiveness to the kind of how much Marvel and superhero films have kind of taken over as the genre. And I wanted to know, as someone who has done, you know, such a diversity of roles and, you know, small indie stuff, TV and stuff, like, what do you think about that kind of, I don't know, not a backlash, but it seems to be kind of a slight animosity to actors who are wanting to get into this kind of genre?
I mean, you know, I think I don't know. I feel like every actor wants to be in the MCU. I just do. I feel like you can say like, you know, you want to do like you know, just theater. And it's true, like I love theater. I do. I absolutely love and miss it. But also like, this is fun. Like my job is really fun. And there are moments where it's really difficult, depending on what you're playing and the world that you're inhabiting, and it's exhausting and draining. But there's also like so much to be said for just, I mean, I'm sorry, but like Black Panther and Killmonger, like that's not just like superficial. For me, that was not superficial. Like it just wasn't. It meant so much. It meant so much to me. And that was my first Marvel film. It meant so much to the wider diaspora. Like it meant so much to the community, and the conversations that were being had in that film was so that I haven't heard that before. Had you seen Africa portrayed like that? Had you had this like African American and African ideas of like what the West or whatever, or the New World has done to us? That the fact that Marvel was brave enough to have that conversation, because lots of places aren't having that conversation. A lot of places with huge like prestige of like, you know, serious acting and stuff aren't having those conversations. They're not. And so like, I think I really just feel like I felt as soon as I watched that film, like I wanted to be a part of the MCU. As serious as an actor as I would, you know, I want someone to have my name on a t-shirt like Sigourney Weaver. Like I watched that film and felt moved by it and felt seen in a way that I hadn't before.
Yeah.
So
I agree. It's there's a lot of, I'm off Twitter a bit at the moment, but like God, anytime like a Marvel film comes out, there's always a certain corner of like snobby film Twitter that's like, oh, another one. It's like, no, I love it. Please give me more. Inject it into my veins.
Snobby because they want to see what they're used to seeing, because I haven't seen that, and I need that. They may be used to seeing superheroes that look like them, sound like them, you know, whatever, and they're bored of it. But for me, that was so new and so necessary. And
I think some of the criticism has been more that it's taking, there's so many, I suppose it's more the films, that there's so many of them that it kind of there's like a template stranglehold over what films get made. Like everyone wants to do these films now, and like smaller budget ones. I think that's the kind of like, hey, why is Chloe Zhao doing, I loved her doing her little mini indie budget films, and now she's doing Eternals. Oh, damn her. That sort of kind of.
Oh, it's such a shame. I mean, like, you know what, we all need to eat, you know, like, and sometimes like doing things that give you a platform mean that you can do more. And yeah, I don't know. I just think whatever.
Yeah. And also, like, as it's been proven with Gemma Chan, you can have a kind of nondescript, like a small role, and then come back like a year later and be a lead. So are we kind of hoping, look, I'm just getting my foot in the door, see what I do, and hopefully potentially could be more in the universe? Are you hoping for more?
I mean, I'm hoping for this show to be received well, and that the Loki fans feel satiated and excited, and then we'll see what Marvel does, because Marvel will do what Marvel will do.
And you can get a Funko. You've got yourself a Funko Pop. You'll officially be one of those like little dolls with the bubbly head.
That'd be cool.
That's what you'll have. I think Thank you so much. It's been so great to talk to you again. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you. You too. Bye.
Bye.